Hey everybody, it is Natalie from Power Moon Tarot. How are you today? Today is Sunday and we are at the beginning of December, a whole new month. And I'm calling today Ascension Sunday because we are going to be doing a reading about the Ascension energy. And oftentimes when I get requests for personal readings, people will ask me how their guides feel about their spiritual progress or how their guides feel about what is going on in their life right now. And so I thought I would do a reading on that for you all to enjoy. And it is a pick a card reading, so you can go directly to the description box below to find your pile that you would like to choose. And today's reading is going to be featuring this Gateway of Light Activation Oracle by Kyle Gray. And I really do love this Oracle and this book. And oftentimes I'm not like super impressed with the like quality of Oracle decks, and a lot of times the guidebooks don't really hit hard, or they don't really have that feeling of really like bringing understanding or bringing it into, again, I have three piles here. I have awareness, bringing something into awareness, bringing something into authenticity, and appreciating the duality and everything. And oftentimes in like spiritual oracle decks, I just don't feel that sense of magic that is showing up. But I do like this oracle because I do feel like it has a sense of magic within it. And I also love the artwork. The artwork in the deck is really pretty, really beautiful, if you can see it there. So I am kind of featuring this deck, and I'm not like in any paid sponsorships. There's none of that on my channel, but I just thought for those of you that are tarot readers and you like a good guidebook with lots of meaty information and beautiful art, I thought I would bring this deck to your attention. And interesting, I got this piece of green calcite at an event the other day and I really just love it. So I wanted to show you guys that as well too. But let's go ahead, I digress. Let's go ahead and get into your reading today. For pile number 1, I have the pile of awareness. If you're drawn to this image or this mandala representing awareness, you'll choose pile number 1. For pile number 2, we have authenticity. If you're drawn to this image in pile number 2, you'll choose that. And if you're interested in this design right here, you think this is pretty, you can choose pile number 3, which is the energy of duality. I'll also give you the numbers associated. So pile number 1 is 11, pile number 2 is number 10, and pile number 3 is 18. Okay, so maybe you want to factor those numbers into your choice. And you can listen to more than one pile. As always, there may be more than one message in there for you. And if you're wanting to book a personal reading with me, details for how to request one are in the description box below. And if you'd like a natal chart reading with me, details for how to book one are below. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and start with pile number 1. For everyone in the US, I hope you had a wonderful holiday and Thanksgiving. We are heading to the darkest night of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I know it, it's getting dark really early. So let's go ahead and begin. Pile number 1, welcome to your reading. You chose card number 11 and the energy of awareness. Okay, and today's reading is called How Do Your Guides Feel About Your Progress in Life? The energy of awareness supports our capacity to focus our attention on all aspects in a multidimensional world so that we can create a reality that we truly choose. And the way that something works, or the way that the mind works, I'm also getting something about a sink faucet or a tap in a sink. I'm also seeing a caterpillar or a small bug. And I also feel the energy of Aries coming through. Whether you have any Aries in your chart or not, Aries is definitely that energy of awareness for sure. So let's go ahead and get into your reading for pile number 1. We have here Arcturian light codes. Arcturian light codes, evolutionary downloads, recalling power, future thinking. Okay, so your guides want to bring in something about the Arcturian light codes, and I will be reading a little bit from the book on this gateway of light activation in a bit here. But I do feel, I'm also seeing a butterfly, or that energy of spreading out or spreading one's wings so that one can learn and fly and like expand. That energy of expansion and opening up the chest and opening up the heart is really coming through in your guys' reading. And perhaps some of you are very connected to the Arcturian light codes or the Arcturians in general, and you are very aware of the Arcturian energy in your own life. Okay, it's coming through as an affirmation in this reading. We have here the Hierophant. Okay, we also have the 8 of Swords. Okay, oh, interesting energy of perhaps in the past it was very hard to absorb the lessons that you were supposed to be learning, or perhaps in a hard time, perhaps in the past you had a hard time listening. Pile number 1. Okay, and I feel like you've really grown in that area, and that is a big, in the tarot, the Hierophant is associated with the hearing, like as a sense, like our hearing and what we're hearing and what we're listening to. Okay, and our ability to hear or our ability to listen when advice comes through, sometimes it's not what we want to hear. Okay, I am seeing, like, you know, you being protected by a lot of dragonflies or a lot of dragonfly energy around you, but dragonfly energy can also talk about, sometimes talk about like illusion. Okay, and I'm seeing the number 7 and the number 5. You know, getting confused by something or not wanting to hear the truth about something. And maybe perhaps in the past you struggled with that. I do think you are a much more aware of that, of the need to be patient and to slow down and to listen, especially if you're getting into a phase of like feeling really confused. We have the 3 of Wands, and I do see a dragon in this card, and a squirrel as well. It's funny because sometimes squirrels, like, they fly from tree branch to tree branch. There's something about squirrels being like tiny dragons, which is kind of hilarious in a way. Anyway, we have the 3 of Wands there. I never actually thought about that. And about how squirrels could be like little flying tiny dragons in a way. Okay, but I feel in the past, perhaps you guys were afraid of, you know, there was some inertia that you were experiencing in your life, and you were afraid and didn't want to see something or didn't want to hear something. And what I see is I see a dragon setting sail on the ocean. I actually see like a floating dragon, pile number 3, okay? Or pile number 3, why did I just call you guys that? Pile number 1, okay? I see a floating dragon across the ocean, which to me talks about bravery and courage and having the courage. And the 3 of Wands in the tarot is very much about having a hearty appetite for courage and having that ability to continue forward on a journey okay? But it can also represent where we're being maybe a little bit fiery or emotionally impulsive, or we're holding back when we see other people kind of moving on, is another energy that I'm getting here. Pile number one, okay? And perhaps some of you are becoming very aware of the way that this is working in your life. Oh, wow. Jealousy. Wow. Okay. So the evil eye here is showing up, pile number one, and spirit drawing your attention to jealousy, where others have felt a lot of jealousy towards you, or you have felt jealous towards others, because it's like, I'm still stuck here having to learn this lesson over and over, and it feels like I'm not going anywhere, and then I see other people kind of moving on, and I'm still held back, okay? And yeah, so that's an interesting energy. We have inspire here. And sometimes jealousy can can inspire us to do more or try more in our life. Like if we are genuinely jealous of something, um, or feeling possessive or jealous towards, and there may be, like in your relationships, issues coming up with jealousy and possessiveness, but sometimes feeling jealous can help us show where envious or jealous of something can inspire us to move forward on something. We have work and do the work, which is this bee energy here, okay? And it's funny that this card just kind of turned around. You know, having the ability to do inspired work and feel very inspired by the work that you're doing in life, instead of just kind of doing the same routine every day, or having the ability to inspire others through your work, I feel like is strongly coming through in this reading, okay? And we have here the Holy Spirit and expect miracles. Remember that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally. Spirit has your back, okay? Yeah, Spirit has your back. I love that energy, especially for those of you that have really been working um, to stay focused and feel inspired and have a direction in your life that is meaningful to you. Okay. Spirit is saying that they have your back, particularly for those of you that have been dealing with a lot of jealousy, either within yourself or having it directed at you. Okay. And we have here, reach out. We know you're reaching out now for help due to a current situation. Support as much about the physical act. Support is as much about the physical act of accepting help where it is offered as it is about the emotional benefits and learning that it is truly okay to accept support however it is presented to you. Okay. And we see Spirit coming in here and touching your heart and telling you, we know that you've been reaching out for help due to a current situation in your life. And support comes in multiple ways, right? And I do see something about the hands or the healing with the hands, okay? But you know, Spirit is saying they are really inspired with how much you have been working on yourself and how much you have been working to get past certain issues in your life that may have to do with, you know, jealousy, envy, possessiveness, okay? And how they're really happy that you're like, you know, working through these issues, okay? And, I do see something about a particular, maybe some of you are into palmistry or into like reading palms or have talent around that area. Okay. or you would like to learn something about reading people's hands or reading the palms of the hands, okay, there is something about the palms and the hands showing up in your reading. But I also feel like, you know, maybe it was in the past, it was very hard to ask for help. And it was very hard because you felt you had to do a lot of things on your own. And it was just really, really hard to reach out to other people for help, okay? And perhaps there's been a situation in your life where you really do need guidance, or you really do need, you've been confused and you do need help with something, okay? And Spirit is saying reaching out for help or reaching out for support is good. Like that is a sign of growth for sure. We have cleanse, okay? Cleansing. And we have disruption, all right? Shaking off and cleansing your energy after a disruption, okay? And sometimes something can really start bothering us. Even though we're doing well in our life and we're having inspired work and we're feeling connected to what we're doing, sometimes like, even though we are in a place where we've really been working on cleansing our energy and working on our healing, we can still have disruptions in that, okay? Because nothing is perfect, right? And so we can still have disruptions in that energy. And, you know, I feel like you guys have been working physically to cleanse your energy or eat better foods or try to be more healthy in your life, okay? But it is a lot of work and one does need to be inspired with what they're doing, okay? But Spirit's also saying don't be so hard on yourself if you feel like you've been working on cleansing your energy or eating better food or taking better care of yourself and you've recently had a disruption in that. I feel like Spirit is saying that's fine. You're going to quickly move on from that energy. Wow, we have Neptune. Interesting. Neptune has to do with faith and spirituality and tenderness and sensitivity. And it also has to do with sacrifice and miracles. Okay. And it has to do with compassion. All right, interesting. And we have the third house of messages. Ooh, wow. Spirit is trying to bring you some intuitive messages about your life, okay? And maybe at times it's been hard to get that message or it's been hard to find the time to drop in. Because the third house in astrology can be where we're very busy, we're very active, we're bouncing back and forth a lot on something. And the message that I'm getting is to tune in, okay? And there has been like disruptions in the energy, but Spirit is saying if you tune in, you'll hear the message. And oftentimes when we're working with our intuition and we're trying to drop into the message, it's a very like subtle process of tuning in and tuning into those messages, okay? And let me go ahead and get these Arcturian light codes. I want to take a look at this particular. So Spirit is really bringing to the table where you have made a lot of sacrifices for other people, where you have, you know, maybe there's been times that you've been really blamed or really victimized in your life by other people, pile number one, okay? And I do feel like your energy, because you are like very sensitive and your energy is very sensitive, Spirit is talking about cleansing, okay? And maybe there's journaling that needs to be done, meditation that needs to be done, making space. I feel like Spirit is talking about making space for your sensitivity, making sense for the messages to come through. And maybe the messages are not making sense, pile number one, okay? And maybe you're like, Natalie, this reading is making no freaking sense to me, okay? Like, I don't understand what you're saying, or I'm not really getting the message, all right? And, you know, part of that could be my fault, pile number one, honestly, right? With Neptune, it's really easy to get confused. And sometimes with Neptune in the third house, astrology wise, we can get very confusing messages about something. Okay. And we can start like vacillating and changing our mind a lot because we're getting confusing messages about something and nothing is really like sticking. Okay. Um, but I do feel that there is an important message in this reading for you guys about jealousy and possessiveness and stuff like that. And perhaps, you know, areas where, like I said earlier, where you feel jealous or other people have been jealous towards you, or this is an issue that you are aware of. Okay. I do feel like you are aware around this issue. And you have been reaching out to Spirit for help with this issue. And they're helping you see where your vision around certain messages has been distorted, okay? And a distorted message could really be like Neptune in the third house, or giving or getting a distorted message. All right. And the Three of Wands in the tarot really has to do with um, like confidence, really. And it comes back to when I mentioned Aries energy early in the reading. The Three of Wands represents the sun in Aries in the tarot, and confidently moving on with confidence instead of kind of getting stuck in confusion or getting stuck in the message and getting stuck in confusion. Okay. And Spirit is really wanting to give you the keys to understanding with this Hierophant and Eight of Swords. And again, you know, it's hard to hear the message. Like I said, the Hierophant and the tarot does have to do with listening and hearing. Our ability to listen and hear things that are different, or maybe we don't want to hear, or maybe we're feeling really trapped mired in confusion, right? And I'm really confused about the message, okay? And I feel like some of you might be, Natalie, I'm really confused about this message. Like, is Spirit telling me I'm doing a good job? Or is Spirit telling me I have a lot of work to do? Okay? And I mean, I honestly feel like Spirit is telling you to listen and work on your confidence, okay? And don't overcomplicate things. And perhaps some of you are having some issues with your work right now, and you're taking some time off, or you're not feeling very inspired in your work, okay? And I feel like, you know, with the Hierophant, it is representing Taurus energy. It is about being patient with yourself. And if you're not getting the message right away, be patient with it, okay? But know when it's time to move on from something, or when something isn't really working for you. And maybe you're like, you know what, Natalie, I need to move on from this reading. And that's okay. That is okay. Pile number one, that is totally fine if you're feeling that way, right? It's okay. I do want to read a little bit about the Arcturian light codes and these evolutionary downloads and future thinking. All right. And I feel like Spirit is saying, like, you have been very committed with the Hierophant to learning, and they are very proud of you for being very committed in your search for knowledge. And you know, and I do feel a lot of you inspire other people with your work, but you may not like disruptions at all, or disruptions may be very challenging and throw you into a state of confusion about something. Okay, so we are going to work with this energy, pile number 1. And for those of you that are still with me, good for you. And we're working through this energy together. You know, sometimes even into tarot reading, we have to work to understand something. Okay, and it doesn't automatically always come right away. And if you do enough readings, you'll realize there are those readings when things really flow really quickly, and then other times when you have to really work to understand the meaning. And I feel like, you know, with this Hierophant and 8 of Swords, there is something actually in this reading for you, pile number 1, about working to understand the meaning in something and feeling inspired to continue that work, right? And maybe there is jealousy around people who feel very inspired and understand the work very quickly and do things really fast, okay? Maybe there has been in the past some jealousy around that. But let's go ahead and talk about Arcturus. Okay, Arcturus is a giant red star that is among the brightest stars seen from the northern hemisphere. It is around 25 times larger than our sun and can be found just beyond the Big Dipper. Many believe that there are light beings who live on a blue planet orbiting Arcturus who are in the 5th or even in the higher dimension. And some of you here could be communicating with this Neptune in 3rd house, communicating with higher level beings, and feel like in your dreams, particularly Neptune does have to do with our dream time, that you are getting messages in your dreams from higher level beings, but it may be hard to know what to do with that information. With the 8 of Swords here at the center of your reading, it's like, well, what do I do? Yes, I have been getting some really interesting messages in my dreams, but I don't really know how it applies to my life, okay? And so we're going to get more information on this. Many believe that there are light beings living on a blue planet orbiting Arcturus who are in the 5th or even higher dimension. Some think they could be a prototype for what is possible on planet Earth. They are described as blue beings, okay? Have you guys seen these blue beings or felt their presence before, or felt a message come through from these blue beings, okay? Appear to those who can see them. Blue beings appear to those who can see them clairvoyantly. They are often blue-skinned or emanating a blue light in their auric field. The Arcturian race are here to help those on Earth who feel called to facilitate healing and to move beyond draconian and patriarchal ways. Wow, okay, I got chills there. Moving on draconian, patriarchal ways. They guide us to realize that we have a great opportunity to evolve beyond these limited states. And if we don't, evolving beyond a limited state, for sure. And if we don't, we'll be stuck on the karmic wheel for thousands of years before we get our next opportunity. If you feel called to the Arcturians or to this information, it could indicate a past future incarnation on the Arcturian planet, that you have Arcturian guides working with you. Yeah, and you are receiving messages and evolutionary downloads psychically, okay? And perhaps some of you are really needing to do a lot of work to cleanse and to stay away from confusion and disruptive energy and also jealousy, okay? But for some of you here, it may also be really hard to ask for help when you need help as well, or perhaps the Arcturians are actually trying to reach out to you in this message, okay? And you have to decode the message, and I have to decode the message here, pile number 1, okay? It says, imagine yourself enveloped in a golden, orange, and blue light. Great blue beings of the Arcturian race, thank you for downloading into my frequency forward-thinking energies that will support my evolution, okay? You can evolve into a greater state of being now. This begins with how you approach the most mundane tasks in your own little universe. Show up in ways that you've never showed up before. Instead of checking out of this planet, it is time to check in. Wow, that is a big message, okay? It is time to check in. Instead of feeling that life is happening to you, realize that you have a huge part to play. Recall your power. Realize that you are part of the evolution of humanity, and it is time to become the leader you were born to be. Yeah, it's that Aries energy that I was thinking of earlier. Okay. And it doesn't matter if you're leading yourself or a large group. Okay. The key is to create more loving ways of doing things. Honor the ideas or thoughts that you've been having recently. Okay. Honoring the ideas and thoughts that you've been having recently. Some of you could be feeling like, oh, I haven't had time, or I've been pushing away my ideas. Or I've been having too many ideas and it's really hard to get focused. Okay. Okay. If you have been hearing high-pitched noises, wow, seeing flickerings of light, or sensing that you're being visited by beings in your sleep. Yeah, Neptune energy, right? Beings in your sleep. Know that you are receiving downloads from heaven. Arcturians are with you. Oh my gosh, I have chills. Pile number 1, what an amazing message. I do love this gateway of light activation. The Arcturians are with you and they have something to teach you, but it may not be something that your waking mind is ready to understand yet. It may be coming through in inspired dream messages where downloads are trying to come through, but there could also be like disruptions in the frequency. And they're talking about cleansing your frequency, reaching out. Okay. It's okay. It's a process, right? We have to be patient when we're working with new energy, or we're becoming aware of new energy psychically in our lives. Then we have to be a little patient with it, you know? So that's okay. And talking about where jealousy, possessiveness, or control can really inspire us to do more for ourselves, okay? And the Holy Spirit showing up in your guys' readings, talking about miracles occurring naturally and not trying to force something with a heavy hand, but instead going with the flow. And if there is a disruption in what you're listening to or what you're hearing, the Spirit is saying that's okay. You're definitely going to get the message, okay? And I want to read a little bit of this Inspire card as well. And I just got a couple new decks recently. Pile number 1, and I got this Wild Mystic deck, and I'm kind of into it as well. And let me see, I believe, what is the Inspire card? Thank you for your patience, pile number 1. And it's nice to take our time with things, isn't it? And to not be overly rushed, because rushing can make us feel mentally overwhelmed, you know. And so I like the energy of slowing down into something. Okay, and let's see, Inspire, and okay. Inspire is Wren, or the bird called the Wren bird. And this card represents inspiration, dream, and nature's influence. Wren is a sacred bird to the Celts and the Druids. In Welsh, they are Derwin, a word which also translates to druid. Wow. Pile number 1, maybe some of you have like druid associations or druid magic. The wren is a songbird beginning its mating call in early spring and seen to symbolize the end of winter. This card encourages you to listen to the natural world. And yeah, listening again, right? Listen to the natural world and its inhabitants and take inspiration from their teaching. This is a card of communication without words. Yeah, Neptune in the third house, communication without words, of natural, spiritual, and divine inspiration. While the back card urges us to communicate, the Wren card urges us to listen and to be receptive to the truth of others. Okay, to listen and be receptive to truth. And, there can be, with the Eight of Swords, there can be multiple sides to the same story, and that can be confusing. Okay. But it urges us to communicate and to listen and be receptive to the truth of others. This card is a strong symbol of musical talent or the effects of music. Wow. Maybe some people are jealous of your musical talent, or you have been very jealous of people with a lot of, musical or artistic talent. It might be urging you to listen to the music around you and take heed of what it's trying to tell you. Yeah, getting messages through music or through songs that you hear. Wow, it is motivation and enthusiasm for creative endeavors. It might symbolize a truth long kept in confinement that is bursting forth from us into the world. Yeah, that's the Three of Wands, right? Is that bursting forth of creative energy. When the power of inspiration is twisted into negative ends, it can be seen as manipulation or seduction. The shadow reading of this card may be a warning to you against charismatic figures who do not sing a true song. Take a moment to translate their true meaning and ground yourself in the natural world around you. Okay, and this has to do with dream work and exploration of dream work. And it talks about, not falling for the illusion of a charismatic person who tells you they're going to transform everything in your life and just makes you end up feeling like more confused, right? And I'm really drawn to the Gemini energy as well in this pile, or Gemini energy in general. Perhaps some of you should also listen to pile number 3, which is the duality pile. But, receiving confusing messages and not being sure what to do with them or how to act on them yet is to give ourselves the patience and time to understand those messages. And even in your reading today, pile number 1, I had to dial it back and be more patient with myself in your reading to kind of get the message that was really coming through. And yeah, I think that is also a message for me, is also a message for you, pile number 1, okay? And that's the way it is sometimes. Like, we can be in a big crowd listening to messages, and something that is meant for us comes through in a weird way while other people are talking, okay? And we have the bee spirit at the center of your reading, talking about work, focus, and industry. And maybe some of you are needing a miracle when it comes to your job or when it comes to your work, okay? And it says, okay, this card tells us that the goal we seek is within our reach if we persist. The bee, like the hummingbird, is often associated with the sun. Okay, however, the bee's solar energy is focused on production, invention, and the job at hand. Okay. Yeah, and I also feel like if it's like, okay, I've got a lot of work to do here. I can't let too many disruptions come and distract me from what I'm trying to do and from maintaining my focus. I've got a lot of work to do here. And some of you may be trying to organize your life so that you can teach a class. Perhaps some of you have had some very confusing teachers that have left you with more questions than answers. Okay. Perhaps some of you are going to be called to share your wisdom or to teach your wisdom, but that feels like a lot right now. Okay. And you still have a lot more work to do, you feel, before you're ready for that. The ancient Egyptians are considered to be the first. And again, look at the Eye of Horus at the top of here and all these Egyptian carvings on this third house of messages. The ancient Egyptians are considered the first people to create artificial hives for producing honey. Okay. They also believe that the sun god Ra created bees from his tears as they hit the sand. Honey has often been likened to gold and imbued with the power of the sun due to its color and its miraculous production by these amazing bees. We may view the bee card as symbolizing the fruits of our labor and a rich, successful outcome. This card indicates financial and business success. It is an industry at its most rewarding, and the sun is shining down on your back as you toil. Wow, the sun is shining down on your back as you work and as you toil. Okay, and Spirit does see the work that you have been doing, and they're very inspired by what the work that you have been undertaking, all right, and what you've been trying to go for. The shadow reading of the bee card is lethargy, ennui, and stupor. It is the sun overshadowed. It is exhaustion felt when one has lost a passion for a project or excitement for work. Okay, I'm just doing the same thing every day. I'm not passionate. I'm not inspired by my work. Okay, the shadow interpretation of the bee card may be telling you it's time to mix things up, change your perspective, or give up on a project altogether if it is no longer bringing you fulfillment, if it is no longer inspiring you. And maybe some of you have been very jealous about other people that have really inspired work and things seem to happen quickly and easily for them while it's taking a little bit longer for you. Okay, but Spirit is saying it is okay to reach out and ask for help about a issue, and Spirit's form of help for you may arise in the introduction of someone new in your life who actually can teach you something that you really need to know, or give you information that really is the key to understanding something on a deeper level. Okay, so pile number 1, I am going to go ahead and leave your reading there. And I am sorry, talk about like a confusing message. It's so funny. Sometimes the energy of like a reading actually is the reading itself. I don't know. Pile number 1, that was an interesting reading. Thank you so much. Pile number 1, wishing you the best. Let's move on to pile number 2. Pile number 2, welcome to your reading. You chose card number 10 and the energy of authenticity. And we are going to go ahead and get into your reading, my friends, okay? And today's question is, how do your guides feel about your spiritual progress, okay? And we are going to kick off the energy here. Doing a little shuffly. We have 4 of Swords on the bottom of the deck. Things are so much easier when we just relax and go with the flow, right? Pile number 2, we have the Order of Melchizedek, and we'll talk more about this card. Embraced by light, mission uncovered, don't give up, okay? And I love the water leading to the light on this card, and I love that something really vibrant is being highlighted here for you, pile number 2. We have Judgment. Wow. The sky is being lit up with something beautiful. We have the High Priestess. Oh my goodness. That is a lot of spiritual progress right there, pile number 2. And it hasn't been easy. It's something you've been doing very privately within yourself. And we have the Emperor. Okay. Wow. All right. And I'm getting an energy about not getting lost in someone else's world. Okay. And not being like, for those of you that have felt like it's been very hard to carve out a space for yourself where you can feel that you can grow, and you feel like there's been men in your life who have been very controlling, and have held all the cards and have held all the power, or you feel like a lot of people in situations miss like the subtlety, and don't really understand the deep emotional nature of what's really going on beneath the surface. Okay. And maybe some of you have felt very misunderstood by certain men in your life or in relationships, or you've been with people who are not like as deep as you are. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. It is coming up in your reading. And, being a little bit more passive, or while allowing someone else to kind of take the reins and take control and take the power, when you actually have the tools that are needed in order to transform a situation, instead of just expecting the same old over and over and over again, I feel like is something that is definitely coming up in your reading. Okay. Pile number 2. So we're going to talk more about this issue. We have meditate here. Okay. And Spirit talking to you about having spiritual practice, having meditation that gives you like an advantage, a tactical advantage, right? And how meditation and spirituality can become a springboard for tactical advantage, actually. And people have a tendency to see spirituality as this very passive thing. For you, it has been life-changing, but like your spiritual progress, your spiritual journey has been very deep and life-changing, pile number 2. But at times, I feel like there's been people in your life who have not taken it very seriously and have discounted. Perhaps some of you had exes that didn't like your spirituality, or didn't like the fact that you were a witch, or there's this energy of the patriarchy judging something as being evil and bad, while continuing just to kind of perpetrate the same, structures over and over and over again. That is definitely coming up in your reading. And perhaps some of you were afraid to be authentically yourself around like people in your family, in relationships. Okay. And I do feel like you have I feel you have changed a lot, pile number 2. And maybe sometimes that change was driven by other people, okay? Or driven by a fierce leader that wanted you to be a certain way. But I also feel like you've learned a lot from this about the way, the way that people's will can kind of be bent into 1,000 different, expressions of something. And this is something that perhaps Spirit is wanting you to meditate on, or something that you have really been meditating on yourself. Okay. And maybe some of you have been feeling kind of defensive towards the spirituality and towards the change that you have been building within. We have reveal, the energy of revealing one's inner self, um, or feeling very judged upon revealing oneself. But I feel like Spirit is saying, take the reins and reveal. We have joy here. There's truly joy and revealing yourself and feeling comfortable with who you are. Okay, the joy of revealing who you are, I feel like could have been stolen by somebody who is in a position of authority. Okay, and perhaps that authentic expression has been very hard. We have Krishna and devotion. Trust your spiritual guidance. Your commitment has been recognized. You are loved unconditionally. Wow, pile number 2. Your spiritual commitment has been recognized. You are loved unconditionally. And maybe that unconditional love is something that you haven't really experienced too much. There's been a lot of people in your life who have like expected you to like loved you under these conditions, right? I'll love you if you're like me. I'll love you if you go along with what I'm saying and what I'm doing. And perhaps some of you felt very ignored by someone, even though you were very devoted to them. Okay. And I do feel like there's been a deep change that has been happening within you here. We have stand your ground. Exactly. Okay. You know, Emperor energy, stand your ground in devotion to what you know to be the beat of your soul. Okay. Stand your ground is an empowering, confidence building action to take from time to time. Now is the moment when you need to stand your ground. You know that you can do it, and you know that by doing so, you will be the victor. Okay. And yeah, there's a big energy, and Spirit really wants you to meditate on times in your life when you have stood your ground against the forces of oppression. Okay. And they thank you for your devotion. They see your devotion, and they want you to find joy in revealing who you are and what you believe and what's true for you. Okay. And taking the reins. Ooh, we've got anger. Yeah, this high priestess to me looks pissed off at this emperor for not seeing her for who she is, okay? And for ignoring her, all right? And maybe in anger, you revealed something about a person that thought that they had total and complete control over you, okay? And perhaps anger was something hard that had hardened within you and had turned into resentment, okay, with the judgment card here. But it's like, I'm so angry that I can't be myself around you, or I can't be myself around these people, and they're always fucking judging me. And huge lessons around authenticity that I feel you guys have really bared the burden of. Actually, pile number 2, okay? And, you know, anger coming from people when you reveal who you are, okay? Or what you believe, or anger just for simply having your journey, okay? And I'm seeing a turtle behind her too. It's, you know, turtle energy is taking things real slow, right? And there's deep spiritual progress that you have made in standing up for yourself, okay? And your devotion to certain people has been questioned by others, and people have taken you as having your own spiritual journey as being something of a challenge to them, okay? And the challenge here is to find joy in being yourself anyway, and to reveal who you are without fearing other people's anger or judgment, okay? And interesting energy. We have hunger, hungering for joy, hungering to express oneself. And I really feel there's been a hunger for the solar principle. And maybe in the past it was a hunger for approval from a masculine energy in your life that was really stopping you from experiencing joy, okay? And perhaps your anger forced you to recognize how hungry you were for that approval. And it's like, I can't believe I was so devoted to that person, or that I was so hungry for that person's approval. And perhaps maybe some of you were like, you know, learning to stand my ground and not seeking to be filled by something that doesn't recognize me and who I am, okay, has been a major journey for you guys. And Spirit really wants to really help you understand this on a deeper level. And, you know, the anger and the intensity around the hunger for having to be filled, to have to beg for someone's approval or get someone's attention, right, has been like meditating on this has been a very interesting process, okay? And sometimes discovering how empty people are and how joyless they are. And perhaps some of you have been really hungry for more joy in your life, okay? And really hungry to have more happiness and more control over your life, and having that would feel very joyful, okay? And this could be somebody who holds the material strings in your life. This could be somebody who has economic or material pressure hanging over you. And I'm so sick. I feel like what you guys are saying is, Natalie, I'm so sick of being hungry for this person's approval in my life. And I'm hungry for some joy that I can experience within myself that has nothing to do with seeking this person's approval. And, you know, casting someone else in a very powerful role and giving them the power to dictate our life is something that I feel you guys are really resisting. Pile number 2, okay? And now we have the moon and the 4th house of roots. Now, moon in the 4th house, or family. Now, to me, this is family stuff, okay? And a lot of this, you know, seeking of approval, you know, perhaps there's a lot of men in your family that people would always listen to. They wouldn't listen to the ideas of the women in the family, or they ignored the women, or they thought that their position of power should never be usurped. And so they just continued to ignore the feminine, okay, is what I kind of feel. And there is some real feminine rage coming out in this reading around being ignored or being made to feel empty, okay? And I also feel like there is this need to want to find family or to find joy and comfort around people who truly support one another, okay? And perhaps some of you here, like with this moon in 4th house, this is, you know, your devotion to your family, or this is your like respect and devotion that you gave to certain people in your family that wasn't returned to you, or there was a shadow contract around you having to subliminate who you are in order so someone else can feel powerful. Okay. And it's really coming out in your reading. And hunger with the moon, okay, made to feel bad because you need affection or attention from someone, okay, or someone getting angry at you when you needed food or attention, okay. And I hope none of you in this pile had to grow up actually hungry or actually not having enough food, okay? But, you know, there could be a lot of stuff around food and family and hunger and trying to please someone who has all the control, you know? And I am sorry, pile number 2, for those of you that have had some really deep spiritual lessons around that. You are a very devoted, loving soul who has given a lot to the people that you love and have spent a lot of time nourishing others, okay, at the expense of maybe what you wanted at certain times in your own life, okay? And that anger about that has made the anger, there's been a bitterness and a resentment and an anger in that, I feel. And perhaps some of you saw your mothers in roles like this as well, like your mom and dad, kind of your family roles, and who was doing the nurturing and who held the power and who had the control. And I feel like this hunger, anger here is about getting in touch with one's anger. And we are having a Mars retrograde in Cancer. And Mars in Cancer, for those of you that have Mars in Cancer, okay, or you're thinking about this upgrade, this, upcoming Mars retrograde in Cancer, okay, perhaps there are some patterns that are being revealed and that are, we have this reveal card here around where people have been really angry about having to beg for someone's affection or attention, or like the emotional patterns have become very angry in one's family. Like there can be this huge emphasis on being together or sticking together or being loyal to the family, but it's really only about making one particular person feel powerful and in control. Okay, and there could be a lot of it's like I was never even allowed to express my anger. I always had to be this perfect, nurturing, devoted person, okay? So pile number 2, there's a lot of energy coming through in your reading about this and about, the resentment and anger that has been building up, the need to stand your ground, and also the need to find a nurturing environment that feels very supportive, where there isn't this continual jockeying for the leadership role all the time, where like leadership roles are shared like on a community level and not necessarily one person having all the power, okay? So pile number 1, this energy is really coming through strongly in your reading. And I would like to read this reveal card here and see what it says. It's the Badger, okay? And badgering to reveal something. This card represents revelation and uncovering hidden truths. As creatures burrow deep into the earth, they seek to reveal food, warmth, solitude, and protection. Burrowing creatures have long been associated with treasure hunting or delving for secrets. The earth is also the final resting place for many creatures, including humans. This card urges you to dig deeper to find the answer that you seek, right? Digging deeper within yourself. Badgers dig deep within the earth to create large sets to house themselves. Badger sets sometimes damage or destroy building foundations, farmlands, or riverbanks, okay? They can alter the courses of hedgerows and boundary lines. This card may be seen as a stubborn and relentless determination to dig. Wow. And I feel spiritually that is, where you guys are at, is this stubborn, determined, relentless pursuit to dig deeper into these issues, which, it's a headstrong hunt for the truth in darkness, without thought for the disruption such unearthed truth might cause, okay? Digging deeper for something may make people very angry or make them very stubborn and relentless about something, okay? And while badgers live in small families or clans, they are not solitary animals. They are often observed working for themselves rather than cooperating with others. Okay, so this is about people who have expected your cooperation and your silence in a family situation, but they themselves have done and gone and said and done whatever they want. Okay. They do not tend to display support for each other when foraging or raising young. Okay. And this could be where there was a lot of lip service paid to the family or towards supporting the family, but it was, the women doing all of the child rearing and stuff like that. Okay. And there was no support when raising the young. In extreme circumstances, they do not even warn other badgers of danger and prefer to look after themselves. Yeah, people who just go off and build and do their own thing and don't really help anyone else as they are trying to figure their shit out, okay? This card may be interpreted as a selfish individual. However, it might also be viewed as independence, shyness, or introversion. Okay. And perhaps this whole thing caused you to have to be very independent within yourself. Pile number 2, but there could also be a shyness within you as well. Okay. But I feel like this whole revealing who you are has become a big part of harnessing the power within you and taking control of the situation and dealing with issues where you have felt very angry or suppressed from being yourself, okay? Perhaps because you didn't want to upset other people, okay? And perhaps some of you feel like you've had your emotions used against you for a lot of your life. Pile number 2. That is a very deep spiritual issue for sure. Let's talk about the Order of Melchizedek, okay? This is a big issue you guys have been working on, not just you, but your ancestors and your family. Like, this is a big thing that has a big mess that has been kind of dumped at your feet. I feel like pile number 2, because there's been people in your family line that have been avoiding this issue for a long time, and they haven't really dealt with it on any, like, they avoided it in order to just stay in the bubble, in the comfort bubble or in the comfort zone. And I feel like for you, you've had to directly face it. And it has definitely come to the surface, okay? Melchizedek, whose name means King of Righteousness, is the first high priest mentioned in the Bible, the one who initiated all the great teachers that followed him. He is mentioned in several Abrahamic texts, including the Dead Sea Scrolls and also the Kabbalist Zohar. He is an ancient gatekeeper of light who is dedicated to helping all those walking the spiritual path to take initiatory steps to align with the light. The best way to describe this great being is a wizard. When you invoke him, you will feel the presence of a loving angelic grandfather who wants to guide you to your greatness. Wow. Okay. And perhaps some of you here, Melchizedek really does want to work with you or help you fight through this energy, okay? The order of Melchizedek, which was mentioned by Jesus in the New Testament, is a divine order of very high frequency light beings, angels and masters, who are working together as an energetic force dedicated to lighting up and outshining all the darkness and bringing a greater balance of masculine and feminine energies to the earth. Wow. Pile number 2, okay? Bringing greater balance of masculine and feminine energies to the earth. Its members include Jesus, Archangel Michael, Mother Mary, Archaea of Faith. Okay, by connecting with these cosmic beings, we give permission for our energy to be upgraded by light and to light so that we can become an even greater vessel of purpose. When you are feeling challenged by something that feels like a big life lesson, call in the order, okay? This is being challenged by a big life lesson. Order of Melchizedek, light bearers, angelic beings, and cosmic guides. Thank you for enveloping me in your brilliant, crystal clear light, okay? You have learned so much, yeah, and are now recognizing all the great lessons your experiences and challenges have brought you. The Order of Melchizedek is coming to you today to encourage you to continue on this pathway and do not give up. Stand your ground, okay? This stand your ground card right here. And even in moments of darkness and fear, there is opportunity for you to share your light. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's imperative for you to know you're not alone. Light is with you and within you. And by invoking spiritual support, you will be able to muster up the strength and courage and focus you need to surmount whatever challenges you face, okay? And, right, 4 of Swords, no sleeping on the job. Pile number 2, okay? And there's been like multiple generations, going back like at least 3 generations where people have just slept through these problems or ignored these problems or have never dealt with them. And it's coming through for you to deal with, okay? There is a family issue around respect, openness, and appreciation of the feminine. Like the feminine and masculine energies have not been balanced in your ancestral line. And there is something that you've been called to help work through that, okay? Pile number 2. And but Spirit also wants you to find joy and spiritual upliftment and being able to finally reveal who you are, okay? And they want you to find lightness in that, and the lightness of being, the lightness of being yourself, the open doorway to the self. So pile number 2, that is what I am getting for you, my loves. Let me know how that reading resonated for you. Thank you very much for your service. Pile number 2, to your human family and to all of us. Take care, my friends. Let's move on to pile number 3. Pile number 3, welcome to your reading. You chose the Duality card, and today's reading is how do your guides feel about your spiritual progress, okay? And we are going to gracefully flow with the energy of duality in your reading, pile number 3. And we are going to take a look first at your oracle cards, okay? We have 8 of Cups on the bottom of the deck. Introspection. Let's go ahead. We have, pile number 3. Memories of Atlantis, okay? Spiritual acceleration, progress, and technology, okay? And this reading is called How Do Your Guides Feel About Your Progress? So I would say, pile number 3, right out the gate, that there's a big message about spiritual acceleration coming forward and the progress of technology or the progress of moving forward. And it's not easy to have spiritual progress in the energy of duality. It really isn't, because it can be 1 step forward, 2 steps back, you know, that type of energy. But I feel a lot of you have really been making a lot of spiritual and emotional progress here, okay? And we have the Knight of Swords, quick understanding. And we have, the 3 of Swords. Okay, my friends. And a lot of mental energy coming through here. All right. And needing to understand something very quickly. 3 of Swords talks about a painful truth or a painful lesson. And we have the 6 of Swords here. Okay. Interesting energy. All swords. Okay. The frequency of duality supports our ability to gracefully flow with the everlasting movement among all opposites, okay? So we are going to take a look at, I feel like you guys have really tried to like run with it or go with it when it comes to the painful lessons that you've learned. You've tried to understand your lessons, but you've also shown a great ability to move on and let go as well. Pile number 3, okay? And I do feel like you are very interested in spiritual acceleration with this Knight of Swords, and it doesn't matter. Like, I feel you guys have dealt with a lot of lessons in your life, a lot of karmic lessons, and a lot of emotional, you know, upheavals in your life, maybe a lot of ups and downs. All right. And I feel like you've put a lot of pressure on yourself to learn your spiritual lessons and quickly move through them, even if it hurts. Okay. And I feel like you, through the exploration of paths that were very painful, you've learned about the beauty of moving in a different direction from that. Pile number 3. So let's go ahead and see what we've got here. Boundaries. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Some tough lessons around boundaries. Okay. But I feel like you got it quickly. You understood it quickly. And it's been exhausting maybe at times, okay? Some of you here could have dealt with like depression as well, I feel like, or just that feeling of feeling low or feeling down or taking your lessons and moving on with them anyway, okay? And this boundary process has been a lot, okay? And who has access to you versus who doesn't. We have instinct. Wow, your instincts have gotten sharper. Pile number 3 with this Knight of Swords here. You've gotten faster at realizing when a situation is hurting you, and you're able to move on a lot faster. Your instincts have gotten really, really strong around your boundaries, and Spirit would like to give you a round of applause for that. We have victory. Wow. Okay. And even through pain, with this Three of Swords, you've had to move through a lot of pain and make a lot of decisions, even though you were going through hardship. And Spirit says this is a true victory. We have, Archangel Michael. And of course, I love boundaries when it comes to Archangel Michael. This is a very strong, spiritually powerful energy, okay? And we have here, you are safe. Angels stand close. Surrender your concerns and allow a miracle to occur. Okay. And you're so good at fighting through what is troubling and painful. I think you've certainly shown a lot of courage in the way that you have helped lead other people through darkness is an energy that I am getting. Some of you could be working with Archangel Michael very heavily, okay? And, that instinct to cut something off or to sever has led to a lot of important victories in your life, like victory over pain and suffering and your ability to move on. Okay, and some of you here may be no stranger to having to cut people off, having to snip, cut people off. I also feel you guys are very smart and that your instincts are very quick and powerful. Your instincts about people. And the reason why that is because you have dealt with lower energies. Some of you in this pile, you may have dealt with a lot of narcissists. You might have dealt with a lot of, chronic victims that are constantly dragging on your energy. Or you've dealt with like a lot of energy vampires, okay? Or a lot of narcissists is what I'm feeling, okay? And even though my heart is breaking, even though I am upset, okay, I'm pushing through that mental energy, Knight of Swords. And your instincts are bringing quick resolution to situations that in the past or in other lifetimes might have really slowed you down. But I kind of feel like even heartbreak can't really slow you down that much. Pile number 3, it's almost like you, in the pain, you see the truth, you have these revelations that come through, and you're able to move on and run with it. Okay? Really, really good instincts for knowing when people are fucking with you and what's the truth. Okay? You're very good at that, pile number 3. And you have a really, really strong discernment that has been sharpened like a fine-tooth tool, fine-tooth comb, or fine-tuned tool that has been sharpened lifetime over lifetime over lifetime, okay? And maybe sometimes you were like, well, am I just, cutting things off too quickly? Am I doing too much? Am I pushing through these spiritual lessons too quickly? Am I actually taking time to slow down and learn? Okay. But I also feel like because you have such skill wielding the sword, that you can cut through and move through things very quickly. Spiritually, in pile number 3, some of you have a very high IQ spiritually for seeing bullshit very quickly. And it does allow you to move through lessons very fast, even if it is painful, okay? And sometimes we just have to rip off the Band-Aid, right? Pile number 3, we can't, like, if we touch a hot stove multiple times in a row, we start to realize that's a hot stove, and we just are out of there as quickly as possible, okay? And something I'm getting about the speed of your progress has been truly amazing. And that you've been willing to take the blows that come with it, pile number 3, okay? And Archangel Michael has been with you the whole time, basically taking you to safety, rowing you to safety and taking you to safety and victory this whole time. Hello from heaven. Wow, pile number 3. Your loved ones in the spirit world want to connect with you as much as you want to connect with them. They know you've been thinking of them, and they are sending you signs and symbols to show you how much they love you and to prove that they are with you at this time. Hello from heaven. Wow. Pile number 3. Okay. We have rest here. Okay. Some of you, again, you've been pushing through these spiritual lessons very, very quickly. And your instincts have been sharpened, but maybe there is a need to rest a little bit. Okay. There's fear around resting. Okay. If I slow down, if I don't keep progressing, if I don't keep moving forward, 6 of Swords, okay. If I take a break, then what'll happen, right? And there could be some fear around resting or taking a break. And perhaps it's because for those of you that have grown up around narcissists or had a lot of narcissists in your life or a lot of deep lessons, you always have to have your guard up, you know, and you always have to be like pushing through something. And there's like so much to fight through, right? And I feel like you guys have really good instincts that have led you away, thank God, from people who are very like not for you. But there could be like fear around letting down your guard, pile number 3, okay? And I feel like this is where Archangel Michael is saying you are safe. Angels stand close, okay? Surrender your concerns and allow a miracle to occur. I'm afraid if I stop and rest, I'm not going to get up again. I'm afraid if I don't keep pushing forward, I'm afraid if I go back and look at that, it might hurt too much. I'm afraid if I don't keep, you know, fighting for myself in the darkness, that I will succumb, okay? And maybe some of you have had, like, you know, when you were younger, perhaps maybe some of you had a fear of the dark and you weren't able to sleep very well, okay? I'm also kind of getting that energy. And there is like a hypervigilance from always having to be on all the time and always having to push through. And maybe some of you have definitely felt like I cannot let up, you know, because I constantly have to be fighting for myself and keeping my boundaries really strong. This is interesting energy. I'm actually drawn to read about this instinct card right now, pile number 3 for you. And I believe that's a wolf on there. Yeah, it is a wolf, okay? This card represents instinct and trusting your own animal self. It is a reminder that humans are grounded in the natural world and to respect our senses and our gut reactions. The wolf is an integral creature, okay, to Native North American indigenous cultures. The observation of the wolf as a wanderer has made them synonymous with pathfinding and trailblazing. Ooh, yeah, pile number 3. You guys are definitely pathfinding and trailblazing through the darkness for sure. The wolf card may symbolize following your instincts and finding your own path through the wilderness. Okay. In Norse mythology, Fenrir was a giant wolf raised by the gods who kept him magically imprisoned. The unbridled instincts of Fenrir were difficult to tame and cannot be manipulated by the gods. Yeah, sometimes like going your own way, I feel like a very stubborn instinct to go your own way. Pile number 3, and not rely on anyone else. This card urges you to trust your instincts in the face of those who might tie you down or attempt to overpower you. It is the underlying wilderness of the wolf inside the domesticated dog. This card might be seen as a longing to be free from commitment or obligation. And, you know, the freedom to go where you want to go and do the things you want to do are really strong here. The myth of Fenrir also tells us that one day a great wolf will break free of chains and swallow everything in his path during the final days. The shadow reading of the wolf card is a warning against suppressing instincts and keeping emotions bottled up, yet they explode. Okay, so we don't want to suppress our instincts and keep everything bottled up and then one day explode, right? And I feel like with this Knight of Swords, you guys have very, very strong instincts, but it may be hard to calm down and rest, okay? Or there is like a fear of death or a fear of sleeping or a fear of the darkness, okay? But I don't really think you guys really rest in that. Even if you are afraid sometimes, you don't rest in that, you push through it, okay? And let me see here. And maybe when you were younger, you were afraid of the dark. And it's like, I can't believe I was afraid of the dark when I was younger, but I was. And it was really hard for me to sleep. We have this boar card, okay? As well as being considered a creature of power and victory, the boar was heavily associated with battle and war. The boar card may indicate a conflict standing in the way of your success or an obstacle to overcome. And, you know, sometimes a broken heart, our own thinking, our willingness to continually go back to a painful lesson and then try to push through it again, okay? And I feel like fear is something that you've really had to take on, okay? But it also could be, you know, boundaries are really high and you're really fierce about protecting them because of the way that your heart has been broken. Pile number 3, okay? But I feel like you've made incredible spiritual progress, very quick spiritual progress, okay? But there is more to be done, and it isn't necessarily like going 1,000 miles per hour. It could be actually slowing down and allowing others in, right? It could be more of that is coming in the future. We have Saturn and truth. Yeah, difficult lessons, right? And difficult truth, difficult lessons. And, you know, your soul's taken on a lot, I feel like, in this lifetime. Pile number 3. We have the 5th house of creativity, okay? And Saturn in the 5th house, you know, could be for those of you that want to have children someday, or you do have children, there could be a difficult karmic relationship with your children or with the father of your children, but for those of you who don't have children, maybe there is a fear around having children, as well as the 5th house has to do with children, okay? Or having children when you're a little bit older versus having kids when you're younger, okay? There could definitely be something coming about that. The 5th house is where we get to be joyful and act like a kid and have fun. With Saturn there, there's not a lot of ability to be joyful or to have fun. Perhaps some of you had like a very joyless childhood, or you had to grow up very quickly. And that growing up children were seen as very dramatic and too emotional. and maybe perhaps you felt very shut down emotionally as a child from expressing yourself or from showing dramatic emotions, okay? But then as a result of that, you also like a sense of spontaneity or a sense of just doing things for the hell of it, or a sense of joyful fun, or there's like this big avoidance of drama, or being afraid of drama, or not wanting to get involved in drama. Okay. And some of that could originate from having to be like overly serious in childhood, or not really being able to have um, like a fun, youthful experience as a child, joyful experience. And I do think some of you really had to mature quite quickly. And even as a child, you might have looked at other people, other children behaving in really dramatic ways as kind of like rolling your eyes or being like, what are they doing? Okay. But that tendency to judge the child within or stifle the child within. And it's like, if I don't keep going, if I stop and rest, I'm going to be overcome with fear, or I'm going to look back at the things that I missed out on, and it's going to be very painful. Okay. But I also feel like with the energy of duality, it's like, as perhaps maybe pile number 3, as you get older and as you learn to rest and relax more and get past that fear of resting and relaxing, that you actually, in your older age, you do become more chill and creative and playful and fun. Okay. It's like I never really got to experience that. Everything had to be so serious. And I wish I would have had more time to have fun or to play or to be like a kid again. Okay. And it's like I don't really like drama, but then maybe there's a part of you that needs drama or craves drama or needs passion, right? Um, in your life, but at the same time, you feel like you're getting a little too old for dramatics, or you're getting a little too old for certain things. Like, oh, I couldn't possibly go dancing, or I couldn't possibly go and do this or that. I'm too old, right? Um, but the truth of the matter is maybe we're just afraid, right? To enjoy our lives a little bit more because everything's been pretty intense for a long time. I feel like with this Knight of Swords, and not really allowing yourself to have fun or be creative or enjoy the more joyful side. For some of you, like, sex could have been very painful as well, or just is a very painful experience, and you don't really want to deal with it, or you don't like it anymore. Okay. I do think some of that energy is coming up. And the lessons around being around people who are not very serious and not very committed, and are very like easy come, easy go. I kind of feel like, or this energy of not allowing yourself to kind of be free and be fun, where everything has to kind of be difficult. I feel like, some of this energy of lightening up and letting go a little bit could be a little fearful, because it's like I see the way that people are like not committed to anything and they're not serious about anything. And I really don't want to bring more drama into my life, Natalie. Okay. I see where you're coming from. Okay. But I also feel like there could be, especially for those of you that are interested in exploring your creativity more, but you've been holding back from that. I do think there is like a spiritual lesson in that for you guys, but not a difficult one. I think it's more about getting past internal limitations rather than external limitations when it comes to like embracing your own creativity. Okay. And, you know, Atlantis, this whole memories of Atlantis is really interesting, because Atlantis had this, to me, like, it has like a free for all, fun, try everything, do everything, indulge, um, enjoy, like, but then no one was really taking things seriously, and then everything kind of fell apart. And it could have been because people were just sucked into their dramas or worried about their egos, or um, not concerned with other people, or people's egocentricity got in the way of having beautiful Atlantis like thrive. Okay, Atlantis is really like a Leo Aquarius type of an energy, I feel. And maybe some of you have that energy in your life, a lot of Leo and Aquarius energy, but I feel like, you know, you could have been a person that was watching the downfall of everyone, like not taking anything seriously and being very selfish and egocentric, and you saw where things were headed. And so there is like this very serious aspect to you as well when people kind of get too out of control, I feel, pile number 3, okay? And perhaps, you know, being a part of Atlantis and watching that civilization destruct was a very hard thing for you. And because of that, you've become very introspective, or your part in that, you've become very introspective about it, okay? I would like to read this Memories of Atlantis card here. And let me find the little book. I'm going to read it for you. Some of those, like taking things really seriously or not allowing yourself to enjoy yourself, that could be karma coming through from Atlantean times, okay, from witnessing that or being involved in that. But let's go ahead and take a look. Legend has it that Atlantis was an advanced civilization that existed thousands of years ago in the center of the Atlantic Ocean. Its people were highly evolved and had many spiritual gifts. They were telepathic, extremely psychic, and known for their ability to combine the laws of science and spirituality to develop technology and create heaven on earth. But somewhere along the way, many of them stopped respecting their gifts and spiritual connection. Their disrespect for the earth and the ocean caused a great cataclysm that brought their civilization to an end. The Atlanteans, who had continued to live with spiritual integrity, had an awareness of what was to come and were able to achieve full ascension and move beyond the physical realm to that of light. They are now a congregation of evolved souls who, like angels and masters, work with souls upon planet Earth who are following the ascension path and in alignment with devotion and love. If this card comes up for you and it has a strong energy or seems familiar, there's a good chance that you are a former Atlantean who did not honor your spiritual connection then and are now being given an opportunity to avoid making the same mistakes now, like dancing while Rome is burning, that type of energy, pile number 3. And maybe because you did have a moment in the Atlantean times where you didn't listen to your instinct and fear was holding you back from doing something, okay? But Saturn can be where we're like punishing ourselves too much and we need to kind of let go. Responsibility is important. Responsibility for what we create is important, but we want to avoid being too self-punishing. You know, I feel like you guys have really taken the reins in this lifetime though, and you've really moved through some difficult energy and you've done an amazing job with that. Visualize yourself cloaked in a beautiful deep blue energy and say, Atlantean Council of Light, Thank you for supporting the evolution of my soul so that I can surmount the karmic imbalances of my previous incarnations. Okay? You are being transported through a gateway to connect with ancient Atlantis. Know that by drawing this card today, you are receiving blessings from the Atlantean Council of Light, who are dedicated to the evolution of soul. You are becoming aware of your gifts, and this is an exciting time, but also a time when energies of ego can become loud and obnoxious. Yeah, the fifth house. But I feel like you guys are very sensitive to that with the Saturn energy here and not letting your ego get too out of control, okay? Know that this gateway is appearing to remind you to stay aligned with the highest good and rooted in the energies of devotion. There can be a great coming together of human and spiritual, and you can live in a more evolved way, okay? And yeah, we don't want like ego or selfishness to destroy our progress, right? And I feel like you guys have been afraid of slowing down because you have that, you remember that energy of running out of time spiritually, okay? And maybe there were some lessons during Atlantean times that you didn't really allow yourself to get through. Now, being surrounded by a lot of egotistical narcissists who only care about themselves is a very strong way to understand quickly and develop your instincts around particular people and issues that maybe in the past you had a lot of fear around seeing the truth, or maybe you felt asleep at the wheel about certain people in your life whose dramatics and ego and selfishness was really interrupting your spiritual progress. And I feel like in this lifetime, some of those same people could be reappearing, up to 3 people with the 3 of Swords, pile number 3, who broke your heart in a way that actually caused you to move forward in your spiritual progress. Yes, it was heartbreaking. Yes, it was hard. And having to detach from these people and move forward is a very important life lesson that you have been gaining. And you've had to be very firm in your boundaries and understand the instincts at play. And Archangel Michael, particularly if you have been dealing with egocentric narcissists, Archangel Michael is definitely by your side and guiding you through that towards victory over these egotistical, dramatic people. And Archangel Michael is trying to show you the truth about these people and not to fear seeing the truth about it. But I feel some of you have become very serious in your commitments with your boundaries quite high and your walls quite high because of this pain and disappointment. But do you see where it's coming from? Pile number 3, from these memories of Atlantis. And I do feel like your ancestors, your guides, hello from heaven, they're popping through in this reading to tell you they're very proud of you for having strong boundaries. And don't be scared if you need to take a break or you need to rest. You're still going to live to fight on another day. There is more time, okay? And perhaps that is something with the Saturn energy that ran out, was the time to discover the truth about something. Okay, and perhaps hiding your creative gifts or not allowing yourself to flourish creatively has been like a self-punishing thing that you've done in the past, or something that you are working to get over the fear of expressing yourself creatively or looking at yourself as a creative person without feeling dramatic or egocentric about it, okay? So pile number 3, that is what I am getting for you, my friends. I wish you all the very best. Take care now.